Hello crafty friends, this is Michael from ePapery. Today is the last component or last part of the mini series that I have done with regard to the components of a journal. And today's video is about closures. Now there are a lot of different ways that you can close a journal, or you don't have to close it at all if you don't want to. This one I didn't put anything on yet, but there are so many different ways that you can do it. And so I'm not going to show you a finished product of each one because that would, take me way too long to make a bunch of journals with different closures on. But what I am going to attempt to do is to show you some of the various ways that I have thought of or that I have used to make a closure for a journal. So let's get started. First off, I'm going to show you some of my journals that I have so that you can see what kind of a closure I've used for those. Now the first one is one you should be familiar with if you've been watching the channel. This is my last journal that I made, and this one basically what I did here is I just took a piece of cloth and added a elastic cord to it, and I have sewn in a button on my cover, and then I am just looping that elastic cord over the button, and that's all my closure is for that. I would say the traditional type of closure, this is a Christmas journal that I made. That is just with a ribbon tie. And so all I've done there is I have just put eyelets in, and I have just tied a ribbon through it with a knot on both the front and the back cover, and then I have just tied it into a bow. Now on this one, Erin had found some headbands, I believe at like Goodwill or something like that, and she's just basically, and they are elastic, so she's just basically taken that and put it over the journal to act as a closure. Now there are several other things that you could use. This is a garter for a bridle for the bride, but you could use that as a closure. Now this one is a ribbon that actually has done the exact same thing. You put elastic on a ribbon and just use that. You could take and add something to the area where the elastic is. For example, I make these padded butterfly embellishments. Add that to your closure. If it's a ribbon or if it's a piece of fabric that goes around that that you might decide you want to use, and you might put Velcro, some type of other closure like a hook and eye or something of that nature, and you could sew that on the back of here and then put it on that way. So use your embellishments that you might have to put on your closure to make it look a little nicer. This is another one of Erin's journals. It's her Celestial journal, and I believe that this one is also for sale on our shop. And with this one, and I'm just using this as an example, I've got a clip here. Now you could use a bull clip or these tiny clips, whatever you happen to have, and just put a ribbon or a piece of lace, tie it to those clips, and then clip to the front and the back cover, and you have a closure. At a thrift shop, I found 2 lace belts like this, and you could take and use the belt as a closure. Just take and, put it around your journal and with a buckle and belt it. I did do that on one of my journals. I believe it was the black and white one. So if you look back at my videos and check out the black and white journal, you will see that I closed it with a belt, kind of like this. You can just take a piece of fabric, and now this is a kind of an odd piece of fabric, but you could just take a piece of fabric, and then again, depending upon how you wanted to, you could sew the fabric together to make just a band that you slip around it, or you could add snaps to snap it shut, or you could add eyelets and then put a ribbon there, kind of like a corseted ribbon through here. So there are things that you could do with just wrapping fabric around your journal. Right, these are like brooch pins, and you can hang something from them. They're like a safety pin. Okay, so you can take that out like that, and maybe you've got your fabric. You just want to put your pin through your fabric and hook it up, and there you've got a closure. I do crochet on some larger pins, and you could do that. Take a pin, either wrap it with some thread or crochet something on it, and then pin. Ribbon crimps. You could crimp this to either the fabric or crimp it to the book itself, to the journal itself, and then put either beading or some type of thread or something through that to tie it. So that's another little idea you can use. This, and I found these in a, I believe in a thrift shop, but here we have kind of like little button closures. And as you can see, it's like a hook and eye. So you can just put it in like that. So, and then there's a place here where you can thread through either a piece of cloth or a ribbon or some string or whatever you want to use it for there. And then there's a hook and eye to close your journal. So that's an idea. You could take something where you just totally wrap the journal in some type of ribbon or thread, or let's just take this piece of lace. If you wrap it around, you could just wrap it around and tie it, or you could wrap it around, tuck it, okay, wrap it around, tuck it in here so it wraps over, and then hang something heavy off it so that it would stay closed, like a key. For example, if you're going to put lace on the journal, there you go, put it all the way around. And if it's large enough, you could put a button of some sort, and then you would just slip the holes in the lace around it to make the closure. So that is using lace or doily. This is a snap. My husband makes wallets, leather wallets. So this is a piece that came out of a leather wallet kit that he had. I mean, he ran a Tandy leather store for years. And I thought if you cut this in half, and just put, you know, like one piece on this side, and then put this piece on the other side, and then you would just snap them together. Now, it probably wouldn't necessarily work on a journal that's this thick, but you could do that. I just was putzing around the other night and made this. This is a crocheted piece. You would again glue this piece either on top of the back cover or inside the cover before you actually cover it. And then put this on the front, and again, you could use some type of a button to slip through this circle. This is supposed to be a flower, look like a flower. And then you would just slip that through. Or here's a bigger one, you could do that. And if you look back on my videos, you will see that I used one of these on my grungy journal. These are purse closures, and this is the one that I used. Let's move this back over here. This is the one that I used on that journal. Basically, you put this piece here, and then the chain, or whatever you decided to use, would be placed there. And in this particular instance, this pin goes through there and holds the journal together. As I said, if you want to see that one actually in place, take a look at the video for the grungy journal that I made. There are so many different types of purse closures that you can use. Here's another one that, you know, you'd have to play with it a little bit to figure out exactly how to use it, but you know, it's a closure that you can use for a purse, and sometimes those can be adapted for journals. Here's another one. Now this one is, if I can remember how to open it. Oh, it's a buckle. So you open the buckle, and then it comes apart like that. So you could use that. Now you probably want to have either paper or a ribbon or something so that you could set this in the middle. This is like a padlock. It matches the holes and then it comes out. Keep your eyes open when you're looking at things in thrift shops. You might find something that you look at it and you think, I don't have a clue what, you know, I don't know what that's for. But if you look at it closely, you may say, you know what? I might be able to use that as a closure. And maybe at the time that you're looking, you don't even know for sure how it would work. But if it's inexpensive, pick it up, and once you get home, play with it a little bit, and you'll be able to figure out how you can utilize it as a closure. There are so many different things. I keep thinking of more as I sit here. Take a piece of, you know, cardstock with a photo on it or something and put it here. Add a piece of a tab here that goes around your journal, and again, you'd have to put it in the back cover before you actually finish the inside of it. And then put a magnet here and a magnet on this, and it just snaps closed. That would be something for a smaller journal. Here's another one that's, you know, that would be pretty on that one. And this you find in the sewing department. It just comes apart like that and then goes back together. Well, it does if you do it right. There you go. So I have just boxes, little containers full of things that I found that I thought might work for closures, and I just, you know, keep them at hand. And if I decide I want to come up with something different, then I have them available. Okay, guys, well, that is the end of our little mini series on the components of a journal. I hope this was somewhat helpful for some of you, especially those of you who are new to journal making. So I hope that's been helpful. Please let me know if you have any other ideas for different types of closures. That would be great. Guys, I hope that you're all doing well. Looks like we're headed toward winter, or fall anyway. Oh my goodness, I just noticed we've got some trees that are already turning leaves. So we're back to school here soon. All right, guys, have a great day. Bye.